I was thinking about this earlier. Oh my God, right. My brain's ticking over now. So, listening to a podcast about coronavirus, I'm sure some of us are doing that. And just thinking about how we're all trying to take in all this information about viruses at the moment, right? It's like we're all trying to figure out what's going on. What's happening with this thing? What's the cure? What's the answer? And we're all looking for like definitive answers. And what I was thinking is like, hang on a minute. We're like viruses are like part of an ecosystem around us, right? We're always in contact with bugs and viruses, and our immune system is always responding to them. It's like this invisible world that's happening. And in this invisible world, we kind of accept that you can get sick and, you'll have days off and whatnot. Think about how different it is to be anxious over this COVID stuff compared to like getting a cold or the flu. You'd never feel the same way about it because it's sort of been normalized, right? But they're one of the same world in a weird way. And so I guess from this world, this invisible world of viruses and bugs and whatnot, like something can emerge that can do more harm to us. But there's like, it's such an unbelievably complex system that's like been studied and learned about, but it's still like very difficult to figure out. It's very individual for all sorts of different people. There's many like factors to do with health and all this. And we're all trying to like all of a sudden get our heads around it. And it's like this invisible world that's actually like, it's sort of been there all along, and now we're like forced to pay attention to it. I've been thinking a lot about the smoking killing probably more than COVID, says Taubar. Yeah, that's something we mentioned in a previous stream. So yeah, to bring that back up again, right? We've got this COVID anxiety, this ambient COVID anxiety going on at the moment, and maybe it's forcing you to pay attention to your health and your immune system, and exercising and working out and keeping your body in good shape. But like a lot of the things we do as humans are sort of irrational, or maybe fueled by belief more than facts, and maybe facts that we're not even aware of. And so what I was talking about was like, if you're a smoker, for example, the act of smoking may statistically actually have a way higher chance of killing you than COVID. And yet in this crisis, in this situation right now, you're acting in this particular way and worried about like the COVID situation and fearful of this virus. Yet you've got this habit, this thing that you do that is way more harmful to you, right? And so like we need to put these things in perspective as a society, and occasionally we do, like, and it's usually through like law and legislation that we get stuff right. I think a lot of people who are, let's say, anti-government and anti-legislation get a little caught up in the idea of it all being bad or poorly done. There's actually tons of like legislation and law in place that is really great for us and our health, like not putting lead in everything, right? Remember, it used to be lead in petrol and paint, and then we found out how really bad it was for us. And so now it's like there's rules and regulations around the use of lead. It's a really great thing to have. And so, we got that one into perspective, right? The science came through and showed us we need to stop using this, and people listened. And it's kind of like that. We need better perspectives on things. And right now we're all scrambling to figure out this COVID thing. And yeah, that was just an interesting thought we had the other day. Like, what if, you're worried about COVID, yet you smoke, and that's actually doing more harm to you than COVID could potentially statistically, right? Nate Storm points out that the difference between smoking and COVID is that, COVID's a little more out of our control, whereas smoking is individual. Great point to put into the conversation, absolutely. But I don't think we should use a point like that to negate the point that I was making. Everything I was saying was like to be thrown in the mix of thought, right? There's always, like, it doesn't matter what I or anyone else says, there's always a different way of looking at it, a different opinion. Best thing to do is to take them all in and weigh them up, and figure out what kind of makes sense to you. Smoking is only more statistically likely to kill you versus COVID if you're living in an area that isn't susceptible to COVID. I don't know about that because I was only like speculating on the idea. I don't have the numbers to hand, but based on what got me thinking about that, I'm pretty sure they were saying that you know, it actually does apply with smoking. Like obesity is another one. Like you know, in this time, people are now becoming quite aware that being obese is really bad because you're sort of walking around with a lowered immune system. You're more likely to be harmed by this COVID thing, right? And it takes COVID for you to make it to think about it that way, whereas the risk was always there. I mean, being obese just is bad for your health and it puts you at risk of so many things. Simon LMBRT with 6 months saying, have a feeling of deja vu. Aren't you tired about talking about COVID-19? I just wanted to get it off my chest, dude. Like, we talked about some other stuff earlier. We talked about waking up all the sheeple. Oh, the sheeple. Oh, wake up, people. Open your third eye. Jeez. Yeah, we talked about that.